Welcome back to the Tide Here Hanger. This is Mike. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. Going into the weekend, I want to talk about something that I've actually been wanting to talk about for a few years. A lot of people do talk about this, bring this up in the comments, but I'm talking about collector profanity. Mostly the online, the social media aspect of it, because what you do in your own home is up to you, right? But I've got to mention this. A lot of people are going to come here thinking I'm going to be talking about collector profanity as in G1 items are bricks or scalper. No, none of those kind of terms. It's actually directly profanity. See, we on social media, there's a lot of reasons why some people shy away from it. Like I tried to shy away from it. But I will admit this. I'm not a saint. And in the real world, I have been known to weave my own tapestry of four-letter words, for better or for worse. But I'm going to go ahead and discussing many aspects of this, kind of why I tried to shy away from it, and why other people use it. I understand why. We'll get into this and more. No topics off limits here at the Tidarium Hangar. Let's talk about this coming up. First off, the number one reason that YouTubers shy away from using profanity, especially in the toy tuber space, but in any aspect of it, is the ad revenue. Do these guys look like they make $20 million a year? I mean, maybe that's how much they make a year. I don't know. How much they make a month? But this is Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin, and these two make millions a year on YouTube. Of course, they have side businesses, but it's all dependent on bringing YouTube, using YouTube as an advertising revenue, and they strive not to use profanity and have said many, many times they'll get destroyed in the algorithm if they use profanity. That's why they seem very squeaky clean in their videos, and they're both good guys. The first real reason that I try to stay away from it, and most YouTubers do, is because of the whole COPA situation. But guess what? That's a double-edged sword. It's for the children. And when you think about this, there was this time in like 2017 or something like that, whenever this was, 2019, that we had a lot of these YouTube channels, they were going after them, and they were saying they're going to fine you $43,000 per video unless you switch your channel to YouTube Kids if you make content for kids. Well, we make contents for adults. Some people were putting disclaimers, including myself, up at the time. And then other people said they're going to, no, it can't be content for kids if I use profanity. Which all of that was, it just seems to be so long ago and so irrelevant. But a lot of people have kept either the disclaimer or the profanity. But that kind of gets right into it. We are in a space that we don't make content for children. We don't make content for 6-year-olds. I'm not reviewing a 40-year-old figure because I expect a 6-year-old to watch it. But that doesn't mean a 6-year-old can't watch it, or a 6-year-old won't watch it with their parents or be in the room while their parents or some person my age is watching it. Then their kids are going to hear it or be exposed to it. So with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man's the sorriest superhero ever made, though. He just keeps getting rebooted and bit by a spider again. I mean, gosh, let's just go somewhere past that. All right, so when my son comes to me and he says, "Hey, Dad, will you help me transform this Blitzwing?" And I'm like, "Sure, let me finish up filming what I'm working on, and I'll come help you out." And so I do that. I find him. He's like, "Oh, don't worry about that. I looked up an IMGO video. I got it taken care of." Hey, as a dad, you did it on your own. Good job. Even though you looked at IMGO videos, it's okay. But you know, people like IMGO, and there's certain YouTubers that you're saying, okay, I feel comfortable with my kids watching this, and that's okay. It's fine. You know, IMGO's not throwing a bunch of F-bombs left and right. But at the same time, I've also raised my kids in a way that they can be around that kind of content, and they're not going to feel like they have to use that type of language all of the time. It's not going to be an impression on them because they've been raised well. So there's two edges to that sword. But let's get on the other edge of that sword. Jobby the Hog's been known to use a 4-letter word or two in his day. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to bash anyone. If I'm going to criticize anything that's going on, then and it's going to be negative, I'm not going to call anyone out. But what I want to say about Jobby is in his early days, I was first recommended to him. He used a lot of profanity and did every 3 seconds a jump cut kind of thing. So it was a little ADD in my opinion. But it was not really for me. Come into this MP44 video, I think that he started getting a little bit better, honing his craft, and his profanity was actually used more as a punchline. So I want to get into the point of it being more impactful. It is a lot more impactful if you are to use profanity just once, twice, or a few times in a video instead of every third word. Now, we do see this a lot. We do see people out there that every third word is profanity. They think it's more impactful, which we'll see in a little bit that it can be, but if you're using it every 3 words, it's not impactful at all. I think Javi's figured that out. I think he's honed his craft. Now, I want to bring up some live streamers. Now, live streamers have been really open about the whole profanity thing, and they say that after about 15 minutes of the live stream, they're on good behavior. They don't get in as much trouble. There's less chance to get dinged for some bad words in the live streaming. Now, this is Geek Dad Life, and this is, yes, Have Some with old Craig there. And they're pretty open about it. They don't use very much profanity, but they let some slip here and there. But what I find is interesting is Geek Dad Life Jay over here has an after hours, or an, I forgot what he called it. It's a Patreon. And so a lot of these people do go to their Patreon, and there they can be themselves, and you'll see that, hey, there's going to be a little more 4-letter words. It's not going to be quite the same persona as you see. And that's why I kind of really wanted to show this and showcase this. But understanding the algorithm and understanding, seeing kids that are going to be having more access to just standard YouTube versus the Patreon and all of that, I thought it was quite interesting that the After Dark, I think is what they call it, and then other ones do the same thing. I think the Toy Habits and some of them, they have the same kind of situation. I think Toy Habits calls it the hot tub. So it's kind of interesting. I also want to bring up, and I could just sit here talking all day long about live streamers, Mega J Retro. He keeps it pretty clean, and he's an example of kind of what I've been talking about. Like, might drop 1 or 2 kind of 4-letter words, but makes it very, very impactful. You don't hear 3 or 4 F-bombs every sentence, but you might hear it once a live stream, and he uses it for emphasis. This brings us into the relationship between profanity and intelligence. Now, this whole thing, I'm going to sum this up, and we're going to go into some points. The reason I'm only bringing this up here, the relationship between profanity, IQ, intellect level, there's 0 relationship, by the way. Very intelligent people can use profanity, and there's a lot of people that aren't very intelligent that may never use 4-letter words. There's no correlation. But I do want to say that there is a perception of lower intellect if you use more profanity. It is a societal perception, it's societal norms, and so with that, if you can convey your thoughts, if you can convey what your point is without using any profanity whatsoever, you actually can be taken a little more serious, and you can also be far more impactful, especially if you do the one-time drop of a 4-letter word. People are looking. I gotta tell you, I used what I call diet words. And when I was irritated with something Hasbro did, and I'm like, screw you, Hasbro, I like 20 comments down there, people flipping out. Mike said, screw you. Mike said, that's not really even considered a curse word, but it's the point of it being impactful. Do want to point this out here. Profanity sends a message. While emitting emotion, it is meant to capture attention and display a particularly strong emotion. Steven Pinker identifies these emotions as disgust, dread, revulsion, fear, and contempt. And people that use it all the time might be using it as a coping mechanism. There's a study, and 67 of the 71 students reported less pain when they were it was basically a hot water test. And they were able to endure 40 seconds longer on average, meaning that they were allowed to use profanity. They used profanity as a coping mechanism and were able to physically handle more pain. Found that very interesting. And lastly, I'm going a complete 360 on this video because this is a very short topic, which is why I haven't made the video. It was this really short topic. But there's going to be a lot of profanity getting used pretty soon when certain forms show up in the mail. Anyway, I want to show you the numbers behind this. This is interesting. eBay is automatically switching, I think, everybody over to electronic 1099Ks. And I did the math on why would you want to do that. Well, there's 80 million new ones going out. Plus, they have 2 billion users. I don't know how many are existing users were institutional sellers that were already getting this 1099K thing. So let's just go with half of the new people, say 40 million people, are going to be getting one for the first time. How much would that cost just in postage? So 40 million on the low end, 10 cents. I've seen two different postage rates, 10 cent in bulk postage and 33 cent in bulk postage. Now, I know eBay can negotiate better rates. So somewhere around there, on a low side, $4 million to mail one letter to everybody, to 13.2 million. Now, I know that there's probably ways. The postage rate is way lower than that too for postcards, but this is an envelope with something in it, and yes, it's in the millions. Yes, I know a lot of people say, Mike, no, they're paying 3 cents per letter, which I have never seen a bulk rate that low. But anyhow, I'm curious what you guys think about this topic. I know it is strange, it's off topic, and it's not exactly about Masterpiece Transformers. But hey, I was able to link it to it a little bit, discuss a few other things, and now we can move to like 20 other topics I have for the next few weeks coming up. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below. Have you noticed the things that I've discussed? Like and subscribe, and Titanium Hanger out.